Hello and welcome. We are here at the Entertainment Society of Goa, the Marcanes Palace complex here in the heart of Panjim, for the first edition of a Momentos Indo-Portuguese 2023, Moments of Indo-Portuguese Culture here. And the very first moment this evening is the 12th Lusophone Film Festival. To tell us more about Moments Indo-Portuguese, we have Dr. Isabel Raimund, the Consul General of Portugal here in Goa. She spoke to Sachin Chate.
Ms. Isabel Raimundo will tell us a little bit more about this festival. There are 10 films that are being screened here. So tell us a little bit about the idea behind the festival and what kind of films that are being screened here.
Hello. This was a joint initiative between the Consulate General, the Fundação Oriente, the Center of the Portuguese Language of Instituto Camões, and the Semana da Cultura Portuguesa, to go beyond what's going on Goa in cultural field between these institutions and to create something new. So we decided to create this joint initiative, which is the Moments of the Cultura Portuguesa, that will launch today. And we'll begin with the first moment today, which is the Festival of Lusophone Cinema.
And are you a film person yourself? Do you like to watch a lot of movies?
We choose the movies between the list of the Camões Institute of movies to be spread abroad, and with along a criteria between documentaries and films with interest, general in interest for the public, also attractive with good attractiveness, and with some pieces of the Portuguese culture, Goan culture. Also, we have a documentary of Naline Elvino de Souza, and so it's we try to gather together elements from every field.
And personally, are you looking forward to any particular film that you are excited to watch?
I'm very curious about the film from Naline. And I want to see the last film, which is Labirinto da Saudade, which is on the life of and the life and work of one of the biggest thinkers and philosophers from Portugal, which left us recently, which is Eduardo Lourenço, and marked the second half of the 20th century and the first beginning of the 20th century in Portugal and internationally also.
And are you all planning to have this as an annual event at this time of the year, every year in future also?
We plan to transport the moments along the years. So next year there will be another edition of the moments, I hope, with new activities. I don't know which activities yet, but with new activities to involve Goan society and Indian society and Portuguese contribution too.
Thank you very much for talking to us. That was Dr. Isabel Raimundo, the Consul General for Portugal in Goa.
Institute Camões was instrumental in curating the package of films here at the 12th edition of the Lusophone Film Festival, and the director, Dr. Delphine Correa, spoke to Sachin Chate.
At the 12th Lusophone Festival that is being held here at the Entertainment Society of Goa, we have Mr. Delphine Correa e Silva, who is the director of Institute Camões, and he's the gentleman responsible for bringing these 10 films at the festival here. So tell us a little bit more about the films that are being screened here at the festival, and generally about the festival itself.
Well, this film festival, it's an event that we have been organizing since 2008. During the pandemic, we didn't have the editions in 2020, 2021. So basically, this program is it's a program that Instituto Camões has in Lisbon, and it's films, titles that are available to screen with the authorization, so we can have this kind of film festival, not only in Goa but in many other countries in the world. So this year we select films, most of them based on literary works, on writers. We have, for instance, the first film today. It's based in a novel of Lydia George. It's a novel in post-colonialism perspective, like many other writers in Portugal today, contemporary writers, namely António Lobantunes. We have also, of course, we try to portray the landscapes and the culture of other countries where Portuguese is the official language, namely Brazil, Angola, and other countries in Africa. So this event is not a big film festival like we will have here soon, IFI, but it's basically thinking about the needs of the students and teachers, those who are learning Portuguese, but in general, all the lobby makers and those who really enjoy films in Portuguese language.
There's also one film by Nalini, who is a Goan filmmaker. So apart from that, is there any particular film that you are looking forward to personally?
Yes, of course. I have. If the audience doesn't appreciate the films, I'm the most responsible. But I hope that they will enjoy. And among the films, I will pick up 2 or 3 films which are really interesting, and it's the first time they are screening in India. A part of the movie today, we have tomorrow a very interesting movie, which is difficult to say if it's a fictional or a documentary film. It's based on the Indians in Brazil. Actually, the director, José Salavisa, and the Brazilian director, it's a co-production between Portugal and Brazil. This film that I'm talking, it's in English, the title is The Dead and the Others. The directors, they live a couple of months with the Indians in the Amazonia to understand the way of living. And it's quite interesting because the actors, they're not professional actors. So as I said, it's not only an ethno-documentary, but it's also a fictional with locals in Brazil. The other film that I'll also like to underline and make a special reference, it's again a film based in the book, in the novel of José Saramago, The Death of Ricardo Reis. And finally, in the last day, on Sunday, we have a documentary from Nalini Elvino de Souza. She is a Portuguese director with roots in Goa, a lot of roots in Goa. And when we invite her, since this festival is also integrated in the first edition of Momentos Indo-Portuguese, this is a kind of, it's the first time that we are doing this, but we are planning to do in the next editions, having more directors, many more films from Goa, not necessarily in Portuguese. The documentary of Nalini is very interesting because it portrays the Goan diaspora in Africa, and since she will be here, she will have a kind of discussion with the audience after the screening of the film.
Well, thank you very much for giving us information about all these films, and all the very best for the festival. And thank you for bringing these wonderful films here in Goa. We wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Well, that was Mr. Delphim Correa, who is the director of Institute Camões, the man instrumental in bringing the films at the Lusophone Film Festival that is being held here in Goa.
The director of Fundação Oriente, the very dynamic Dr. Paulo Gomes, spoke to Sachin Chate more about Moments 2023.
At the Lusophone Film Festival, which is being held here at the Entertainment Society of Goa in Panjim, we have Dr. Paulo Gomes to tell us more about the festival. He's the director of Fundação Oriente. So please tell us a little bit more about the festival, about the idea and the execution of it.
With Indo-Portuguese Moments, we intend to create 4 new annual activities beyond the activities that each entity already run. And for this year, since we had this idea 3 months ago, for this year, isn't possible to have a completely new activities, but it will happen next year. For this year, we included the Lusophone Film Festival, in November, an Indo-Portuguese art exhibition, and in next February, Indo-Portuguese dinner open to all. Because we believe if we work together, Fundação Oriente, Consulate General of Portugal in Goa, Camões and Semana da Cultura Portuguesa, we can go further.
And tell us a little bit more. This is the 12th edition of the festival. You've been having it in the past years as well. So is there anything different this time, or is it on the same lines as previous years?
This activity has been running by Camões. So each year, Camões change the movies. For sure, Lusophone movies, but each year we will have different movies.
Is this going to be an annual activity? Is it going to be held every year from now on?
Yes. It's annual activity.
Right. And are there any particular films that you are looking forward to? Are you a film person yourself?
No. All of them.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you.
Here is the Consul General of Portugal in Goa, Isabel Raimundo, welcoming the gathering for the first edition of Indo-Portuguese Moments 2023.
This first edition will include cultural, artistic and social events between institutions, entities and people from various fields, working together in mutual learning, growth and collaboration. Today we begin the first moment with the Lusophone Film Festival that will take place between today and Sunday here at the Maquinés Palace. It will include a variety of films and documentaries, one of which was documented by Nalini Elvino de Souza, and who will give us a talk about the film. It will end with a documentary about the life and work of prominent thinker and philosopher Eduardo Lourenço, who left his mark in the Portuguese and international line of thinking in the second half of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century, and who left us recently.
Dr. Delphi Correa da Silva, Director of Institute Camões in Goa, also spoke.
This is an initiative of the Consulate of Portugal in Goa, delegation of Fundação Oriente, with the Centro Língua Portuguesa Camões in Goa, and with the support of several Semana da Cultura and the support and association of several academic and cultural institutions in Goa. This is a huge task because the first edition of Momentos is try to reconnect the ties that we had before the pandemic. And today, as my dear colleague Ruth, which is behind of me, I believe, said that we are starting with probably one of the most magic moments, which is cinema. So, as I said, this event, this film festival, was created in 2008 with the first edition also of Semana da Cultura Indo-Portuguesa. And since then, we had organized regularly this film festival. We didn't have the film festival, Lusophone Film Festival, in the previous 2 years, and last year also. Firstly, because of the pandemic, and last year, as you remember, we had a huge international Lusophonia festival, who take a lot of activities, and we didn't want to include our film festival. So we are resuming this year, and I know that you are we are waiting for the screening of the movies, but before that I'd like also to address a special word of welcome to all our friends and passionate movie lovers who have come from different places from Goa, in spite of the heavy rain. But as you said in Portugal, when there's a wedding with rain, it's a blessed wedding. And I believe that also this edition of Lusophone Film Festival will be a blessed edition. Well, a little bit about this edition, this program. I have to explain or to inform, first of all, that the selection of the films were made here in Goa, mostly by me and the Council of Portugal, but this is a part of a program of Camões. Camões has a program called Camões Cinema, and among the titles that we can screen every year, we choose the best. If you don't like, it's a guilty of me, you have to point your finger in me, but this is the titles that we think that most of the people in Goa will enjoy. And all of them also, it's the first time we are screening here, at least in this film festival. So, both of the films selected, or at least 4 of them, are based in literary works, namely a novel of Lydia George, that's the name that we are going to see shortly. A Costa dos Murmúrios, I think in English it was translated by the Murmuring Coast, something like that. Murmúrio, murmuring. I'm not sure if in English the word murmúrio, murmuring, has the same effect that he has in Portuguese, but in Portuguese it means that you don't speak loud, you speak like in secret, you speak very silently, because mostly you want to keep your secrets, or because you have fear. And this is mostly the message of the film that we are going to watch, and this is why we select for the starting screening as the first film, this film based in a novel of Lydia George, in a post-colonialist perspective, like so many contemporary authors in Portugal, contemporary writers, namely António Lobo Antunes. These events have a lot of history. These events are about things that happened 50 years ago, 60 years ago, but this is still, the effects are still in Portuguese society. As you will see, I hope that you will attend all the other sessions. The last film, Labirinto da Saudade, it's also based in a work of Eduardo Lourenço, and you'll see through the words and the voice of one of the most important philosophers and thinkers of Portuguese culture, Eduardo Lourenço, you will see that we are still recovering from the trauma of the past.
Over the last 3 days, our audience enjoyed a wonderfully curated package of films at the 12th Lusophone International Film Festival, happening right here at the Entertainment Society of Goa, Martinez Palace 1, in the heart of Panjim city. These film packages were ably curated by the Institute Camões. Momentos Indo-Portuguese 2023, in its first edition, has various events planned, one of them being an art exhibition in November. The audience certainly had a wonderful time over this last few days enjoying films at the 12th Lusophone Film Festival. Brought to you by Institute Camões, Fundação Oriente in Goa, the Consul General of Portugal in Goa, and the Semana de Cultura Goa. Thank you for watching.